Hello, I'm Nima Rajan. The streets of most American cities were calmer overnight as tens of thousands of people held peaceful protests over last week's killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. As of this morning, more than 9,000 people had been arrested since the vandalism, arson, and shootings erupted. Officials in New York City dealt with some looting overnight, which was a marked departure from the fires and shootings of the past few nights. U.S. President Donald Trump appeared to be backing away from saying that he would dispatch the military to end protests. White House officials said today that the response to demonstrations against the death of George Floyd should come from local governments. The Chinese city of Wuhan, where the coronavirus was first detected late last year, has tested nearly 10 million people in an unprecedented 19-day campaign to check an entire city. It identified just 300 positive cases, all of whom had no symptoms. The city found no infections among the over 1,000 close contacts of the people who tested positive, suggesting that they were not spreading it easily to others. This is an encouraging development to health officials because of widespread concern that infected people without symptoms could be silent spreaders of the disease. A tech-focused civil liberties group is suing to block U.S. President Donald Trump's executive order that seeks to regulate social media, saying that it violates the First Amendment. President Trump's order, signed last week, could allow more lawsuits against internet companies like Twitter and Facebook for what their users post, tweet, and stream. The order had many experts questioning whether it was constitutional. The president aimed to rally his supporters after Twitter put fact checks on two of his tweets. The Trudeau government wants Parliament to approve another $6 billion in spending for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. The Liberals had expected the CERB to cost about $35 billion this fiscal year. But with more than 8.3 million people applying for help, the program has already paid out nearly $42.6 billion in combined benefits. The Bank of Canada is keeping its key interest rate steady at 0.25%, as economists had expected. It says the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the global economy appears to have peaked. But the economic statement released this morning notes that there is still a high degree of uncertainty about how the recovery will unfold. The Ontario Long-Term Care Association wants Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to quickly negotiate an agreement with the provinces to help long-term care homes prepare for a second wave of COVID-19. CEO Donna Duncan says military intervention is not a long-term solution. She says it will take speed, creativity, and cash to hire and train hundreds more workers and provide the protective equipment, testing, and policies to make them feel safe enough to go to work. Millions of respiratory masks that BC purchased from a Chinese manufacturer have been given stamps of approval, making them available for health workers fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. Health Minister Adrian Dix says tests show that the respirators exceed Health Canada's requirements, and they're the equivalent of the sought-after N95 masks made by 3M. He says BC now has a stockpile of 3 million masks, putting the province in a good position to resume elective surgeries and prepare for a possible second wave of the virus. A pair of Canadian telecom giants are saying thanks, but no thanks to Huawei. Bell and Telus both announced yesterday that they are taking a pass on using the Chinese tech company's equipment for their next-generation 5G wireless network. Instead, Bell says it plans to use Sweden-based Ericsson, and Telus says it will tap both Ericsson and Nokia Canada. Canadian security agencies have been studying whether to use Huawei over concerns that it may allegedly be used for spying by China's military and its highly skilled security services. The World Economic Forum says its next meeting in January in Davos, Switzerland, will be called the Great Reset. It has chosen the title to reflect the impact that the COVID-19 crisis has made on economies and societies around the world and the ongoing need to tackle climate change. Organizers of the annual meeting of government and business leaders plan to hold a twin summit featuring both in-person and virtual dialogues. Tanzania is entering its 6th week without an update on its coronavirus cases. The East African nation's data has been frozen at just over 500 cases since the end of April, as the government claims that the virus has been defeated. The opposition, however, has alleged that Tanzania's cases could be in the tens of thousands. The latest U.S. Embassy alert says there have been instances during the COVID-19 outbreak when hospitals reached full capacity due to the high volume of COVID-19 cases, and that the risk of contracting COVID-19 remains high. The alert recommends that U.S. government personnel stay at home except for essential activities. Syrian opposition activists say Russian warplanes have carried out airstrikes for the first time in 3 months on the last remaining rebel-held territory in and near the country's Idlib province. The activists had no immediate word on any casualties in the strikes on Wednesday, saying that hundreds fled their homes. They said the strikes were the first to be conducted by Russian planes in 3 months since a truce brought calm to the volatile region. The truce was brokered by Turkey and Russia, and it halted a 3-month air and ground campaign in early March that killed hundreds and sent 1 million people fleeing towards the Turkish border. Well, the COVID-19 pandemic has been a goldmine for Zoom video communications. The once obscure company released its first quarter results on Tuesday, and the numbers exceeded analysts' already heightened expectations. But the company's stock fell in extended trading amid concerns that some recent users may depart later this year. Even so, Zoom's market value has more than tripled so far this year, with its stock trading at around $200 per share. Well, that'll do it for today's news update. I'm Nima Rajan. Thank you for joining us today, and I'll see you next time.